Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to the Blacktown Premier League COVID Conscious Podcast. My name is Mark DePoli. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4, and let's have a fast forward look at what's happening in this episode. Yes, we will see up close and personal what those three teams are going to be made of this year. Can the Tigers bring a bit of surprises together in the WPL? Can Rudy Hill go from reserve to first grade in style? And of course, can St Pats finally launch that promotion bid? Welcome, by the way, to my bedroom. This is in fact the place of the filming this week because I've been sick in bed until about 15 minutes ago. But in times in need, when you need people to step up, I'm here for you. Let's cue the intro music. No results to talk about over the weekend, which is going to do wonders for my voice right now. But speaking of which, I hope if you do celebrate it, you had a very happy and joyous Easter. I certainly did by getting this COVID. So with no results to talk about, let's just go straight into the interviews. I'll see you in between each segment. But once again, if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, which is just me ranting about the fact that I got sick, do be sure to leave a like. That's how I know that you're enjoying what you're seeing or hearing. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe as well. For the first time in 2024, on the week that the Women's Premier League begins its second season, we welcome the newest edition of the Blacktown representatives, Quakers Hill Tigers. I'm joined by Brooke, Elise, Alyssa, Nicole, and of course a couple of committee members you might recognise sitting behind them, happy to help out as well. Guys, just generally, thanks so much for being on the podcast today. I'm going to get straight into the questions straight away. It's great to have you here. Kickoff is within touching distance. It's within a couple of days, a couple of sleeps. Whoever wants to answer, put your hand up first. I'm sure you're all keen. Is the excitement building there at Patterson? Are you guys excited to kick off your first ever WPL game?
Look, yeah, we're really excited for a team that's brand new to Women's Premier League. Like we've worked really hard. And yeah, all the girls are pumped for this season. So
I've been informed that Elise is part of the leadership team in the WPL squad, so no surprise she took the responsibility of the first question. Good on you. Last time I had the pleasure of speaking to you guys was actually on what we called the WPL Media Day. Since then, there's been a lot of pre-season, so we're going back about 2 to 3 months. So what did pre-season look like for you guys? How have some of those games gone, and what have you sort of learned about yourselves?
I feel like pre-season for us was a bit of an up and down moment. I think a lot of us are new here and it was just the first time a lot of us have played together, and I think there's a lot of work to do there still. But I think we started off strong, and I hope we start off strong this first round as well.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the first round. You have the defending outright champions. It's not going to be an easy season just because everyone's had 1 year head start on you guys. What are the expectations on the squad in year one of WPL? What are you guys expecting come the end of, or come September, let's say?
Look, we're obviously prepared for a tough season, but I think we're all just hoping to gel together and make sure that we don't get frustrated with each other during the games and just keep our heads in it so that we can finish strong and hopefully have a really good season by the end of it.
Absolutely. I have this quiet prediction that you guys will grow into the season and develop as a squad, and by the end of it, you'll be better than when you started. That's the key to most of the WPL teams that I've seen, in my time doing this. So up to you guys to continue on that trend. Now, just to end things off, I've heard wonderful things about the development system in place in the women's program there at senior level. Even if one of the committee members want to get involved in helping answer this, talk to me about the idea of having the 21s feeder squad. Obviously, half the team did come from 21s as well, I can guess. So how has that worked? How is that being managed? And, how many 21s can we expect to see blooded into the first grade system come the end of the season?
So it's definitely a squad. So our 21s in our Women's Premier League are a group of 28, 29 young ladies that are working together. Our average age is around that 21, 22-year-old mark across the entire squad. So it is quite a young squad. They train together, they socialise together, they chat together, they're a group. As you know, Tigers is all about development. So we develop early. We may have jumped into this maybe a year too early, but we have a lot of good, strong girl players coming through our younger age groups. We haven't dropped a Division 1 team for many, many years in our girls, and they're coming out as strong. So these girls are going to be the benchmark. We have no expectations as a club. We're proud of them already. Taryn is he's doing this as a passion project. So absolutely loves being down there coaching the girls, probably a little bit more than coaching the boys. She gets a little bit more attitude from the girls, but she's really enjoying this girl's space.
Nicole, I wanted to just throw a question your way, just because I don't want to leave you sitting on the end without something coming from you. But have you enjoyed pre-season, and are you keen for the season to begin in terms of just the excitement of just jumping in the deep end?
Yeah, no, I'm actually new to the team, so I've met a lot of these guys for the first time just in the last couple of weeks, but like really good group of girls. And I think it's really good energy at training, and even on the field, there's also, a lot of passion and a lot of love. So I think for what it's worth, I'm really excited. I think it'll be good.
Fantastic. Well, for the first time, the WPL has featured on the podcast this year, the Blacktown Premier League podcast. To everyone involved in front of me, thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Tigers went to great lengths to make sure that their studio looked good for their first podcast WPL feature this season. And that's great because they talk so well about what their realistic expectations are for the year. So I'm very appreciative of that indeed. Best of luck to them heading up against Holroyd this weekend. Right, provided that it doesn't rain like it is literally right now, we're going to be a BFP for PL2 match of the round action for the first time this year. Let's go and chat to the team sitting equal top right now, Blacktown St Pats. We are joined tonight by the St Pats crew of Arsalan and Team of the Year midfielder Michael Sowa, and if Mario can sort his internet out, he'll join us too. They are one of the bona fide favourites to go up and mount a title charge this season. Mario, he's not here right now because of that internet issue, so we're going to go straight to Arsalan, who's just decided to join out in space as well, so it must be good internet out there. You've been here for a number of years now. You know what the standard of the competition is, and you know the standard of your team as well. Can you give us a realistic chance or percentage perhaps of what you guys have of going up this year?
You'd hope that my answer would be 100%, but nothing's guaranteed. I think the preparation that we've had for our preseason and the amount of work that the boys have put in gives us a real shot at winning it this year. But it'll be a combined effort with our reserves as well. So it's about coordinating as a squad. And if we can achieve that, and I think our reserves are doing really well so far, and if we can achieve that, then, we've got a good shot at going up.
Absolutely, you do. The reserve grade were very close to making it really deep into the finals last year, as were you guys. Very competitive team as we head into the final stage of the season. So I want to talk about the first couple of games of the year now as well, but particularly that win that you had over Oakville. I want to focus in on that. An early heavyweight 6-pointer, if you like. So, Michael, I might go to you. How do you find that you matched up against them, and what does that indicate about where you guys are at?
Basically, I would say the game was pretty tough. It was a long 90 minutes. We heard from their coaches that was not their full team. So, also with that in mind, it tells you that if we have their full team, it will be an even tougher match. But as a team, we performed really well. I think what we've been working on pre-season, what we've been working on at training was out on show. We did everything that was set up for us. But like Has already said, competition is stiff. The first game was tough without the top players or without their main players, we'll say. But at the end of the day, we just have to do our own thing. Once we do our own thing, get into the game, win our individual battles, I think with the team and preparation we've had, we have a chance.
Mario, I want you to talk to me about this team that you're coming up against this weekend. So Rudy Hill, obviously the reserve grade team. There was a lot of them from the reserve grade team of Polonia last year. They were ultra competitive, making that grand final against Tigers reserve grade. What have you sort of heard or even seen from your opposition, Rudy Hill, this weekend, and what are you expecting out of this game?
I expect a tough match. We haven't seen much of them, but we have heard. I remember them from last year. They can grind out a win. They play as a team really well. They move the ball well. They close down spaces quickly. So it'll be a tough game for us. But we're looking forward to the challenge this weekend, especially after the last game, the missed opportunity there because we were leading at 1.31. We want to go out there and actually be a bit more emphatic with our performance.
Now, just because he's joined us, Sylvester, you obviously you're a match of the round goal scorer in years gone by, but you're taking on a coaching role this year. Are you taking on the coaching role as well as the playing role, or are you just in the technical area this year? What's your job?
No, I'm just helping out for coaching this year because Mario called me and the club called me saying that they needed help. I needed helping out with the first grade. So I said, yeah, why not? So I had to grab the opportunity. So I'm not playing this year. I'm just helping. I'm just helping and coaching.
We can't afford his match fees, mate. It's too expensive. He's not going to play for
No,
us.
I'm just coaching. No, I'm just coaching us. I'm not playing now. No, I'm not playing.
It sounds like St Pats are certainly in the mood to play a good fun game, and also sounds like the team dynamic has come along really quite well. Good to have you still around, Sylvester. Guys, thank you very much for joining in us on this random Wednesday night. And quite late at night as well, Mario. So happy that you found the internet to do this as well. Best of luck heading into this weekend, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marco.
See ya.
Had some great laughs with the St Pats boys. They're always a breath of fresh air. Real strong contenders for promotion this year, that's for sure. Let's go and chat to their opposition this weekend, Rudy Hill. How fantastic is it that we get to re-welcome Rudy Hill FC to our Premier League competition in 2024. And for the first time since we chatted to the 21-2s of last year, have the club back on our podcast. I welcome Coach Danny and Coach Cam as well, first and reserve grade coach at the Rudy Hill system this year. Boys, it's pretty well known around the place that the highly successful Polonia reserve grade side of last year made its way across the seas to Rudy Hill. So how familiar from that sort of grand final, 11 and bench is the squad in first grade this year? And are there any new additions we should know about?
So we got about 7 that came across, and I'm pretty sure you know most of them. They're quite decent players. And I think I brought them with me because I do believe they can play first grade. I think they should have been playing first grade last year, but it is what it is. The other thing is, there's a Fijian international in our team. His name's Nasal, so he's unbelievable. And I think he's the player to watch out for the tournament.
I love a good prediction on our podcast. What about you, Cam, from the reserve grade perspective? What's the squad looking like? Where have those sort of players come from, if you're aware?
Maybe like 5 or 6 of them I've known from back in my day, playing at Workers and Rudy Hill from like 8 years ago. I got the Banco boys, got a few boys that I've known pretty well and played with. But besides that, I think we're a pretty young team. But the young boys, they're pretty bolsterous. So I think in defence we're looking good, and in attack it's okay. It needs some working on, but I think we'll get there in the end, and I think we'll be a strong force.
You've kind of made mention about, making the jump from reserve to first grade, of course. Do you think, Danny, from the first grade perspective, it might take a little bit of time to adjust? Or do you think, I know obviously Brad Dickinson's come down to play as well, so there's some really good, PL1 quality in that kind of name. So are you guys going to be ready to go from round one? Do you think it might take a couple of rounds to adjust?
I think we're behind the ball. Starting as a new club, it's been hard getting players across and holding them. Look, it's different. I had a team that I stepped into that I already had, compared to a team that I had to build. And I didn't go out and just sign any player. And I think Cam and both of us, we're still got about 3 to 4 spots left, and we're still holding them. We're not just signing anyone. So we want to build a good enough team to compete and get into the top 4. But the transition, I'm working with better players, is, for me, being second year into coaching, it's been a difficult thing. But I think it's going to take us about 6-7 weeks before I get them to play the way I want them to play. And a lot of them have played a different system, which you know about my system. It's different. So getting them on board it's been good. It's been good.
Sounds certainly like a challenge that you're taking on and grasping with both hands, which is good. St Pats, will speak about your match of the round opponents. From 21s to first grade, they're always a tricky customer, and they were up and around finals across all 3 grades last year, as they tend to be as well. What do you remember about sticking around and watching after your matches last year? What do you remember about their first grade? What are you expecting in terms of perhaps stylistic matchups come Saturday night?
Well, for the first grade side that I watched after our games last year, they seemed like a solid side, a strong side that never gave up. I remember against our Polonia boys last year, they did go up, I think, quite early, and Polonia got back into it. I just think at times they probably switch on and times they switch off. So we got to be careful with them, because I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the comp.
Boys, I know that you're just about to head into a start of the season. Get together with the rest of the club. Thanks so much for just jumping into the car and having the time to do this podcast with us. Best of luck heading into this weekend. And once again, thanks again for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sounds like Coach Danny Gauci knows exactly where that first grade team stands, what the expectations are on them, and it sounds like he's the right man to manage them through that teething phase, let's call it. Let's go through the fixtures right now. Let's keep it with the PL2 fashion for right now. Of course, Rudy Hill and St Pats in the match of round. Technically a Rudy Hill home game. That will be a BFP at 7 o'clock, a bit of a late one. Really important game, this one early on for Glenwood. They go away to Newbury to to face Newbury. Probably the front-running contender for one of the games of the weekend across all divisions is Oakville hosting Parkley at Colby. This has exciting and lots of goals written all over it. This should be fun, as well as Polonia look to chase down Town Rangers, who of course are sharing the space with this week's podcast attendees, St Pats, at the equal top of the table. Premier League 1 action now as Workers host Doonside, as Doonside look to make a 2 from 2 and Workers look to bounce back after a tough start against Ponds. Rivers and Schofields, it's safe to say, have surprised the masses so far. They're going to be facing Ponds in what could be a fun one. Eastern Creek face Ropes as both teams look to bounce back from, let's say, unexpected starts to the season. When we get to the end of the season, everybody looks at a pinpoint fixture in the season for who finishes where. This could be one of those as Quakers Hill Juniors host Prospect. And finally, it's not only the Quakers Hill Tigers women's Premier League side who have a tough task this week. The men take on Marion at home though, so Patterson will have to be rocking to keep the champions at bay. To the Women's Premier League for the first time this season, we get to have the pleasure of saying that Castle Hill United will take on Norwest. New Girls Russell Rams take on a tough task in Kellyville Cos, but they get to do it at home, which is lucky for them. As you already know, the match of the round is Holroyd hosting Quakers Hill Tigers. Quakers Hill Juniors host Marion in a local Blacktown derby, as Winston Hills go up against Parkley in what was a match of the round last year that ended 1-1, by the way. That's going to do it this week for the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and dealing with my nasally as heck voice. As always, it's a pleasure to have you here tuning in for these shorter episodes this season, but I think you guys are enjoying it a whole lot more. Thanks so much for the feedback you've been giving me in person. If you do want to let me know that you're enjoying this new style of podcast, not that I'll be in this room, I mean new style in terms of the length of the podcast, do just leave a like, minimize your screen, leave a like, turn your phone from this way to this way, leave a like, subscribe if you are new around here. But until then, I want you to make sure that you're tuned in for the match of the rounds, both of them on this Saturday night, 7 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Sunday. My name is Mark DePoli. Thank you for being here, and cue the outro music.